it's nice to hear properly executed ecclesiastical pronunciation. Are you familiar with the words? Let me see if I can write them for you very quickly. One moment, please. Yeah. Oh, the microphone is getting the focus here. Hey, I pulled a Mutahar on you. There you go. Are you familiar with these words? Let me just type them here. I didn't know it was the title of an album. Apparently, well, here you go. You never stop. Oh, it's a band. It's a musical band. That's so funny. Anyways, these words that I just typed here. So, how would you guys pronounce these? Try and type the pronunciation for you. Let's see who can guess it. How would you pronounce these in ecclesiastical? You can tell me the classical, but classical is easy. In fact, I'll tell you the classical. Classical is mihi nihil. That's classical pronunciation. How do you pronounce it in ecclesiastical, though? Let's see if you know. We'll do a little game, a little challenge. Because the reason why I'm specifically singling out these is because these often get mispronounced. I noticed that in ecclesiastical, either because someone reads them in classical, mihi nihil, that's classical, so it would be out of place in an ecclesiastical pronunciation. Two varieties. You have two varieties. Either you completely mute the H and you say nil, me. This is one way. Personally, not my favorite way, because the idea of having two vowels, one after the other, is not easy. And particularly if you are singing or you have a choir, then yeah, that doesn't help much. The other option is to pronounce it like a K. So Miki, Nikil. They are both correct. In my opinion, the most correct, like they're both correct, but the one that is suggested more, at least not only now, but I'll give you some historical context, is the K one. So, Miki, Nikil is in fact, and by the way, this means to me, for me, and this means nothing. So this one, for instance, you can find it in the very famous sentence, very Catholic, creatio et nihilo. So creation from nothing, which is, right, it's Catholic doctrine. And that's the same word. So you can say nihil if you want, but it's usually suggested to pronounce these like a K. This is not, however, because I've seen someone say that it's a modern, and it's not. This has been the case since the Middle Ages. So in medieval Italy, when, I'm talking 1,000 years ago, we have not only both spelt, and when they spell it as a K sound because they didn't have a K, they spell it as a CH because in Italian, a CH is a K sound, right? So we do find it spelled that way. And we also find it spelled basically removing the H completely, and you have the two vowels. So both have been acceptable pronunciations within the ecclesiastical pronunciation or the Italianate pronunciation of Latin for at least 1,000 years that we can document. And that's the first thing. So it's not a modern thing. Oh, it's a modern, no. However, even in the medieval period, the K sound pronunciation was the preferred one. It's the one that we find the most. Okay? In classical, mihi, nihil. I would just say that when you pronounce the H in classical Latin, I wouldn't exaggerate it. I would pronounce it as a soft H rather than, like, you don't have to go into like an Arabic sounding H. Just a soft pronunciation, and that's how I would do it. Interestingly enough, annihilation, you don't pronounce the H. You don't say annihilation in English. That's one of those mute H's that you have in English very rarely, unless you're a Cockney. Then you mute everything. You have it, yeah. You have it. Anyways, there are a lot of words. Like even with my wife, when we first met, we used to spend... When we first met, I mean on the phone, where we were speaking on the phone for the first time, we used to speak about these things. Like there are so many words that come from Latin through French, through Italian, through Norman French, in fact, or directly through Latin if you consider the time that the Romans were in Britain, that sometimes you don't realize it. Like for instance, our word to say hand in Italian is mano, mani. That's how we say it, singular, mano, mani. That's how we say it in Italian. And in English, you say hand, hands. But you do say manual labor. So clearly, there is the connection. And often the connection is in these words, rather than the everyday words, which are clearly Germanic in nature, You find the connection in those words that instead are more of a compound. They come into the second layer of the language rather than the primordial layer of the language, which in English is clearly with a Germanic core. But yeah, but all of the other layers, you can tell that oftentimes that's how it is. So like you want to say like a dog, for instance, then you have another alternative, which is hound, which is very similar to German Hund. Clearly that's the connection right there. But then again, canine, and we say cane, there is the connection. And it's once again on the next layer, because canine is not something you say every day like you would dog. And there are so many situations like this that I think are fascinating. The only case, in fact, Italian, my language, is almost entirely unaspirated. There is almost zero aspiration in Italian. Our T's and D's are like t, t, ta, 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 ta. I don't do ta, like time in English, which does have a little aspiration, time. In Italian, ta, 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 ta. So ticket, which does have an aspiration in English, ti chiamo, ti. It's like Italian has no aspiration. So to give you an idea, it would be like all of our CH sound are all unaspirated when we say chi sei, chi. So basically it would be not like the word kill, because that one is aspirated, but like the word skill, which has the same K sound, but without aspiration. You can try it right now. You can try and say it multiple times. Skill. There is no aspiration, but there is in kill. So yeah, Italian no aspirations. The only difference is in some regional varieties of spoken Tuscan, like in Florence, for instance, when sometimes they will aspirate certain C's, but they usually only do it in maybe in intervocalic position, but whatever, they will do it there. So that's the only situation where they have that sound. Otherwise, if you're from any other region, sometimes aspirations can be a problem. Like hoa hola, that's a famous one, yeah, which I probably butchered, but whatever. See what you guys have to say. If you have questions about anything, linguistics, translation, but also history, whatever the heck you want. What language did Christopher Columbus speak? He would have spoken his Genoese variety, so regional language, in medieval, of course. I imagine he also spoke a certain level of Spanish, considering that he ended up working for the Spanish crown. I don't know if they needed an interpreter, but I don't think I've ever seen him mention it anywhere, so I would imagine he spoke Spanish as well. But do remember that Christopher Columbus is Italian. Cristoforo Colombo. Cristoforo, Christopher meaning bringer of Christ. That's the meaning. Argentinian Spanish was actually heavily influenced by Italian. Yeah, I don't know about the mainland though. Yeah. I mean, Argentinian Spanish together with Spain Spanish is the easiest one to understand for me as an Italian. He's a little confused.
He's okay, buddy. You're
He's
fine.
a little confused.
You're okay, buddy.
Yeah. Winston is fantastic. Oh, okay. He loves being held, by the way. Let me see. If I hold him like this.
Here, let me.
No. If I hold him, he loves being held. So when you hold him, you can walk around. We do little tours of the house. You just hold him, and he just loves it. He just loves it.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
So it's so funny though because his name is Winston, but
Yes.
I literally just call him Winton. He loves for me to hold him out like this.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why. He just loves to be out like this.
Yeah, he's very trusting. Pollo panato, that's another way I call him. Breaded chicken. Pollo panato. I call him Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, yeah. Chick-fil-A. It's like the dog is the normal one and the humans are behaving like idiots. That's what happens
Like I don't
with a
understand.
dog like that.